Welcome to Mike's Gaming Gala. I'm Mike, and this week we're looking at Tutankham Arcade for the Atari 2600, the newest release from Champ Games. Unfortunately, my physical copy hasn't arrived yet, but I needed to get this review out since Retro Bliss has kindly waited for me so that we don't drop our videos at the same time, and I don't want to hold back his review any longer. Tutankham Arcade comes in the usual Champ Game packaging with a professionally printed box, manual, mini poster, and a new injection molded cartridge. Will Champ Games continue to impress with this new title? Let's see. After the splash screen, we get a title screen with the standard menu, allowing us to choose a 1 or 2 player game as well as our difficulty level from Novice, Standard, Advanced, and Challenge mode. Then we get to select which maps we want to play. The original arcade maps, new Champ maps, or a mix of the two. We also have a flip option. This will flip either all or some of the maps vertically. At first, you might think this doesn't change much, but it really does. Think of when you play Mario Kart races in mirror mode. It's like a whole new level. Let's start with the arcade maps in their normal configuration. It should be no surprise here that Tutankham Arcade is a port of the arcade game of the same name. But Mike, you might be thinking, Tutankham was ported to just about everything back in the day. Yes it was. But on the Atari 2600, it looked like this. This port of Tutankham, on the other hand, faithfully replicates the arcade in all its glory in the best way that the 2600 knows how. The goal of Tutankham is simply to get to the end of each level alive. This will require the use of keys to unlock doors that are blocking your way. That sounds simple enough, and honestly, it is. But of course it won't be easy. Around each of the mazes are monster generators, which are identified by these thin lines surrounding them. They'll emit a whole host of enemies that, if you touch them, will kill you. Thankfully, you're not defenseless. You have a gun and can shoot them. Just one catch though. You can only shoot them horizontally, not vertically. This will mean that you'll be trying to make sure that you line yourself up so that when you encounter one of these enemies, it's in a spot that you'll be able to get a shot off. There are several different types of creatures that may roam the maze. Some are fast, others are slow, but all are deadly. In the manual, it says that it is possible to kill an enemy vertically by timing your shot perfectly while hugging a wall. I wasn't able to do it though. There is another attack, and it'll help you in vertical panic moments. We'll talk about that later though. Getting around the maze is pretty simple. Just move with the joystick. If you see that you're trapped in a section though, look for a transporter. They look like indents in the wall and have these thick moving lines around them. Stepping in will instantly transport you to the opposite side of the transporter. Along your way, you'll notice that there are treasures around the maze as well. Collect these for points. They're also cumulative, so if you capture one, it's worth 500 points. The second is worth 1,000 points, and so on all the way up to a whopping 4,000 points if you get 6. That said, they aren't required to complete the level, so if you're on your last life, it may be better to skip some of the more dangerously placed treasure for survival's sake. Earlier, I mentioned keys that you'll need to unlock doors. These are must-get objects if you hope to complete any level, but you can only carry one at a time. If you have a key, find a door to unlock and use it, before backtracking and picking up another one. Carrying a key doesn't affect your movement or ability to shoot at all. Alright, let's look at the layout of the screen as well as talk about that second attack. At the very top of your screen is your score, and underneath it to the left is the level timer. This is the amount of time that you have to complete the level, and the quicker you beat each level, the more points you'll get. To the right of that are what look like magic lamps. These are actually the Egyptian catacomb equivalent of grenades. If at any point you stop moving and quickly double press the fire button, you'll use one of these grenades, and all enemies on the screen will be destroyed. Very handy for when you're stuck in a vertical corridor with no other options, but use them sparingly, as when you're out, you're out. In Novice, you get 3 of these. Standard, you get 2, and Advanced and Challenge mode only give you 1. Underneath the magic lamps and above the playfield is a map that will show you your position, as well as the location of all other objects in the maze. Personally, although useful at times, I didn't find that I use this often, as it can be a crutch. There's nothing worse than being killed by something completely avoidable just because you were standing in a hallway looking at your map trying to figure out where to go next. In the arcade maps, reaching the end of each level reveals a unique treasure, with a nice massive sprite to show it off. Level 1, you get a map. Level 2, you get a golden vase. Level 3 is a chest full of treasure. And Level 4 is the ultimate prize, the burial mask of King Tut himself. We won't get into the ethics of what we're doing here. Clearly we're grave robbing. But we must be cursed because completing the 4th stage sends us back to stage 1 with the same goals, just more difficult, dooming us to repeat this quest over and over for points. And that's the arcade maps. They're surprisingly faithful to the arcade versions of the same levels. However, it wouldn't be a Champ Games port if it didn't have extra material. Let's look at the additional maps included here. Selecting Champ as your maps gives you 4 new levels to explore with different creatures in them. While the layouts and enemies are different, functionally the gameplay is the same. Collect the keys and avoid or kill creatures in order to get to the end of each level and collect the prize. One enemy that definitely deserves mentioning though is the mummy. The mummy is the only enemy in the game that also can use teleporters. So you'll have to be extra careful when using them. That's nothing though. The worst enemy in the Champ maps is the snake. In addition to being fast, these guys have a smaller hitbox than your standard foe, meaning that if you're in a situation where you have to time your shot, they're going to be very hard to hit. In addition to the new enemies are new sprites for the treasure at the end of each level. Level 1 is a golden cat statue. Level 2, you find an ornate goblet. Level 3, you make Indiana Jones jealous by finding the lost Ark of the Covenant before he does. And last but not least, in Level 4, it's King Tut's mask, before looping back again for points. And finally we come to challenge mode, where John Champeau has a couple tricks up his sleeve to make things interesting. Once again, the goal of the game is the same. Collect the keys and make your way to the exit. However, in challenge mode, we have hidden doors that will shut behind you, blocking paths in the maze. We also have the dreaded tsetse flies. John looked at Tutankham and thought to himself, you know what this game needs? The plague. Tsetse flies travel in swarms, and they take multiple shots to kill. Every time you shoot them, they reverse direction, get smaller, and faster. If they get you, it's not the end of the world though. You become infected and move at half speed, but eventually it wears off. Want to get rid of the symptoms sooner? John has added a new treasure type, the elixir, and if you grab it while you're infected, it'll cure you. There's one more treasure type here that can be more useful than the standard get some points fare, and that's the magic lamps. Now unfortunately, grabbing one of these doesn't add it to your inventory at the top of the screen, but it does act like you would expect a magic lamp to, which means it instantly explodes, killing all enemies on the screen. No matter what difficulty setting or map layout you're using, when you lose all your lives, you can enter your high score on the leader table, so that everyone can know how successful a grave robber, adventurer you are. And that's Tutankham Arcade for the Atari 2600. So what did I think? This is how you do King Tut justice. Tutankham Arcade is everything you would want it to be. It plays smooth, it's full of fast-paced action, and it looks fantastic. It's just plain fun. Does it feel like cheap deaths when an enemy spawns just as you're passing the generator? Sure, but hey, you roll with the punches and try again. This game has that addictive quality that will have you coming back again and again for more. Another winner from Champ Games, and a huge recommendation for me. Go get it. Thank you for watching my video, I hope you liked it, and thank you so much to my channel members. I appreciate your support so much. As always, my contact information is in the description, and we'll see you next time on Mike's Gaming Gala.